So, welcome to this session. Really appreciate you coming. And let's get started. So, the learning objectives for this session, lots of information, like we've said, but it's about understanding winter wellness from coughs and colds right through to seeking support for different illnesses. Focusing on your winter well-being, looking at like mental health, physical health, as well as working from home as well. Keeping well this winter, everything together all in one place. What can you do to keep well? And then staying well this winter. And this is about showcasing all of the support that's available for you. So as we kick off, understanding winter wellness. There's so many different variations of winter wellness. So what we try to do is put everything together in one place. Now, as the darker nights come, the kids are back at school, the weather changes. Is it a cold? Is it flu? Or is it COVID-19? Lots of different organisations have different policies and regulations around testing and COVID-19, but we thought we'd put this in just for info. So, different symptoms throughout winter wellness or winter illnesses, if you would, all interlinked with each other, be it cold, be it flu, or be it COVID-19. So, for example, a fever, chills, runny nose, coughing, what you might think is one thing could be another thing, and it really does build up and actually impact your physical and also mental health. So it's time you took time back to recuperate for yourself and actively started working on your own well-being at the same time, because everything is interlinked to your mental health, your physical health, and also your well-being at the same time. So it could be about practicing self-care, it could be about topping up the vitamins that you take, and we'll touch on stuff as well to do with things like SAD later on, which is seasonal affective disorder. But one thing we do say is, what's your medicine cabinet looking like? Is it stocked up? Are you out of stock? Do you need to replenish items? And we've just put a bit of a base idea about things you can do to keep stocked up. So around plasters, bandages, painkillers, antiseptic creams, lateral flow tests, cough medicines, throat sweets, cold, flu tablets, anti-diarrhea tablets, and also rehydration powders and sachets. So essentially that should be in your medicine box. That's a starter for you. So it's kind of like teaching you to suck eggs, if you would. However, this presentation is the non-interactive part of it. So the booklet that we'll send out is really informative. You can click the images and it'll take you to direct pages. So as we go on to the next bit here, it's looking into lots of different things. So if you do get ill over the coming weeks, coming months, for example, how do you spot symptoms? So from headaches to fevers, chills, stuffy and runny noses, a cough, sore throat, fatigue, and muscle ache. These are just the general symptoms that you tend to get when you start to get ill. What we need to understand is it an illness, or are you stressed? Are you burnt out? And a lot of these things, again, all interlink at the same time. So if you do get ill, how do you go about treating the illness and stopping the spread? You should always rest, recuperate, and recover for 3 hours. You owe yourself some R&R time, and that could be a nice steaming hot bath with Vicks on your chest type of thing, or it could be just relaxing and keeping hydrated at the same time. Other factors here about making an appointment with your GP if your symptoms worsen. Drink plenty of water. We can't stress this enough. Water is amazing for you. Corporation Pop, you might know it by, but water is amazing for you, and it helps you keep hydrated at the same time. And then we also have like things about stopping the spread. We're all health and social care professionals. We all know about washing our hands continuously, chucking away tissues, but sometimes we often forget a lot of these things. Things like cleaning surfaces at home and in the office. We do it in the office. We have lots of different antibacterial wipes, that sort of stuff in place, because we share an office with, and it's like a hot desking aspect. So forever cleaning at the same time, but we should be replicating this at home. Things as well like covering your mouth, your nose with a tissue when you cough, and also sneezing into your elbow. I'm a very, very loud sneezer and a physical sneezer, if you would. So my head goes back. It's like all this big dancing singing thing, when actually I should just like a chew. But actually, each person's sneeze is completely different. But what we do say is sneeze into your elbow if you don't have a tissue available. And often things like washing your hands with soap and water, and also using sanitizer. Again, health and social care professionals, these are in abundance in our workplaces at the same time. So we talk about illnesses, treating illnesses, and also getting ourselves better. But there are lots of different things that we can do as people to eradicate this or get better quicker, if you would. And it's often people get confused as to where to go. So we've put a bit of information there where you can actually get help and support. For example, hangovers, sore throats, and grazed knees, for example, is all about self-care. Hangovers, we all have our own remedies, be it a McDonald's or be it 2 pints of water before we go to bed type of thing, or if you do drink. But minor things like grazed knees, for example, it's just about some cream, antiseptic cream, and a plaster, and also airing it out as well. But you've also got things on there like going to your GP surgery if your symptoms are persistent and won't go away, back pain, a lump, blood in your pee, etc. That's when you contact your GP surgery. And now we all know the issues that GP surgeries face, and a lot of GP surgeries have put new measures in place to be able to get an appointment, triage first type of thing. My GP surgeries uses an online platform now where I can send a message and then they'll determine whether I get an appointment and so on and so on. But your pharmacy is another aspect. A lot of the places where you go to your GP for, your pharmacy can help at the same time. But there are things like NHS 111. So this is online, or you can phone as well. And this is for medical help and information if you don't know where to go, for example, or just need some general advice. Minor injuries, lots of places have minor injuries or they're classed as urgent care centres. And these are essentially walk-ins, and these are for injuries or illnesses that are urgent but not life-threatening. And then in red there we have A&E, and this is for emergencies only, severe bleeding, breathing difficulties, chest pain. If you do need help and support and your illness does get worse, do contact 111. And if it is an emergency, do go to A and E. So like I said, that bit is all about teaching you to suck eggs, but we have to put it in because it's just a general reminder. So the next section we have is understanding winter wellness. And understanding winter wellness can come in different forms, shapes, sizes, everything together all at once type of thing. Now, we ran a presentation earlier in the week around seasonal affective disorder, or known as SAD. So SAD is when the dark nights come in, the weather changes, and essentially it's a form of depression, if you would. Things become more apparent during the winter, and people have different symptoms and deal with things differently. So it could be about different symptoms like persistent low moods, different pressures, loss of pressure, that sort of stuff, or general irritability, feelings of despair, guilt, worthlessness, feeling lethargic, like lacking in energy at the same time. You start sleeping for longer, or you start sleeping for more. You have a decreased sex drive, and you also have difficulty concentrating. Now, SAD essentially, like I've said, is a winter depression. And with the changing of the seasons, the weather, when the clocks go back, it's dark when we wake up, it's dark when we come home from work. We have a lot of different things that we do as ourselves. We sit in front of the TV, or if having food type of thing, comforts, home comforts, blankets. And this is just different aspects how people cope. Now, we talked about this in our presentation, and it is linked. This presentation, we have put the other link to the presentation and video at the same time. So if you do want to watch that, please do go back. But like I said, winter depression, SAD is essentially winter depression. Is with the changing of the seasons, and there are lots of different things with SAD that you can do in terms of your vitamin intake, or if you're working from home, sitting next to a window and getting more daylight in. Or for example, if you are in work, you can go for a walk, do what you need to do, and get as much sunlight in. Now, Rebecca knows a bit more information about SAD, so I'm just going to tap over to Rebecca and she'll tell you more about recommendations for SAD and aspects around that as well.
Yeah, thank you. So kind of put me on the spot there, Lee. So yeah, Lee's discussed the light box, and that can be useful. But I think if you do watch the previous workshop we did on SAD, we just discussed at the end, because it was asked, a question was asked at the end regarding, how do you know what's best for you to, how long can I use the box for? Like, can I use it? And that just explains that there is, like everything else, it depends on your condition, if you've got any eye conditions and so on. So do have a quick look at that if you're interested in the information. But also about just keeping in mind that this does affect everyone's SAD, and it affects children as well. So if you do have any children, then just keep in mind that it is difficult for them. They come home, they can't play out of an evening because it's much darker, and then of course we've got our body's needs that need more vitamin D. So again, that was another question that was brought up during the previous workshop. How much should we take? But like everything, if you're going to take any medication, whether it's supplementary, if it's herbal, just always go to your doctor first. Have those blood tests done to make sure that we're not, putting too much into our body so it then becomes toxic and we have other issues.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Rebecca. So in that aspect there, Rebecca talked about like light boxes, light therapy. There's lots of different ways that people cope for SAD. I mentioned stuff about having your own comforts, but it's also about changing your routine as well. So and like Rebecca mentioned, it can also affect children. So if you notice children becoming more irritable, low mood, that sort of stuff, it a lot of the time boils down to the changing of the weather, the changing of the seasons. Like I said, the information around SAD will be available, and I'll send this out with you with the information that I'm sending out too. So as we move on, this is about looking into focusing on winter wellbeing. Now,
is this one for me, Lee, or you?
I'll let you do this one.
Amazing. So, like Lee's just been saying, like the winter months, it can bring some mental health struggles for some of us, and it is important to look after ourselves in a physical way, but as you can see on the screen, socially, and intellectually and emotionally, because I think we're becoming more aware now that we're more than just one aspect. Whether we've got a social network and we've got friends, family around us, it does make a big difference to our emotions and physical health and intellectual health. So if you are struggling in the colder months, coming up to Christmas and New Year, because Lee always touches on this, it's not always enjoyable for everybody. So if you are feeling some darker days happening emotionally and mentally, they are okay, but please do reach out if those days do prolong, because it's not nice to stay like that, and people around you really don't want to see you struggle. So to help us along on this on those difficult days, we've put together this amazing toolkit that I have to give full credit to Lee for, the interactive document that he's going to send out. And it's just to help us understand our emotional, social, intellectual and physical needs. So Lee just popped some ideas on there of what we can do socially. So, wrap up warm, go and meet a friend and have hot chocolate. I know Liverpool's got a lovely winter market, so that's always nice and upbeat. Send a text to someone that you haven't caught up with for a while, even just saying, I know we haven't spoken for a while, but thinking of you. Join a group of new friends. So we do actually have making friends as adults. This is something that we've also got that's been put together and it gives you ideas if you're not too outgoing, or maybe you do want to try something new, again, there is a link for that, so we can send that over. And ask someone about the day, and listen to what they're saying, and try and learn more about them. It brings you together on a whole new level. And then physically, yeah, but can I just say, if you've got any suggestions on this, it'd be great if you pop them in the chat, and then we can share them with each other. So what other social things could help on these darker days? So physically, we can, go for a walk and listen to a podcast or some music. I love Disney music, it always puts a smile on my face. So, just listening to that music that makes you feel more like yourself.
Yeah.
There's situations that things you can do, like complete a hand scan, or maybe do some like body scanning. And we do have a lot of those on our website as well that you can pop on and have a look through. Some might find them better than others. It's just to bring us back into that moment. And then eating stuff, but really enjoying it and taking time, because if you're anything like me, I'll be eating and watching TV or playing on my Switch, so I don't really take that time to be present. So or then dance around the house if you're doing the ironing, but be careful, don't burn yourself. And just when you're cleaning, put that music on and dance to the music. Then intellectually, we've of course, using our brains is really important, and we know that using our brains as we get older, it's really detrimental to our mental health. So, I like a good puzzle book. So, next time you're in the Lidl, or just pick one up and spend 5 minutes doing a crossword or a word search. Read a book. Challenge yourself to an afternoon where you don't have any electronics and you do something more hands-on, maybe crafting or painting. And learn origami. I would love to learn origami, but I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler, so that's probably not the best one for me. Moving over to the emotional side of things, make a list of things that you're grateful for. Write down any negative ones that you want to challenge. See what you can come up with when you are saying, I'm not very good at this. Well, challenge that and say, well, actually I am, like, I can work on that. Look for another view of it. Make a list of your strengths, and how are you going to use them in the year ahead. Are you going to put them into your work? You're going to make more time for something you enjoy in your personal life. Or again, pick a specific problem you can experience and ask someone for help. Sometimes it's good to get someone else's perspective.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of these I put together, and like the origami one, I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic, so trying to use that sort of stuff for me, it's not, but in a sense, it's kind of do what you think's best. Rebecca mentioned as well about going for a walk and listening to some music. Rebecca mentioned she likes Disney. So for me, I quite like the winter and dark months. I like the autumn feel, the snugginess. But obviously, sometimes life gets in the way. I tend to, when I get in that mindset, I need to get out, I'll go for a walk. And what I tend to do is put like movie music on. So I'm walking through the woods and all you hear is action music, and it really does feel like you're part of something. I don't know what, but it just makes you feel, it gets the blood pumping, you walk to the beat, and it's really focusing. So we put these together just as a bit of a checklist, but as Rebecca said, if you've got any other ideas, please do share in the chat and we can add these towards and share them out as well. So this essentially is focusing all about your well-being. Again, your mental, physical, and whole self count as one aspect. It's not one shoe fits all, it's you, essentially. So whilst you are here, you could be working from home, you could be in the office, but you might be feeling a little bit disconnected. And essentially, what we've done is we've also put a bit together a working from home checklist. So again, this is ultimately focusing on your checklist, and I'll let Rebecca talk about this one.
Okay, so yeah, like Lee says, working from home has become quite a common thing for a lot of us, and that can be quite isolating, especially if you live alone, or you are, just there's different dynamics at home that make you feel a little bit more confined. So we look at putting in some steps that can set you up for the day. So we've got 8 steps here. So um, putting your head in the game for work, I guess. Lee said something to me when I first started in this role, and it was, do you work from home, or no, do you live at work, or do you work at home? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And
Yeah.
it's very true. So, you know, you're getting that less contact to others. So these ways to keep focusing on ourselves are, number one, create a morning routine. We actually went to a critical care um, conference a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago, where they were talking about little things like just making your bed makes a big difference, because it's like an achievement. So make that morning routine, whether it's making a cup of tea, and just stand by the back door. Get into that mindset that, okay, I'm about to start work now, and I'm in my workspace. The second one is, it's easy to lose track of time. Schedule things. I have this little timer thing, which is really good because it's quite visual, and it's probably going to go off now because I've moved it, which was a silly idea. But it gives me an idea of like how I can, 20 minutes, I'll focus for 20 minutes, and then I'll get up and I'll walk around. But also, if it's a boring task or something that I'm just not feeling that day, I'm like, okay, let's see how much I can get done in 20 minutes. So that's really, really good way to schedule it. Try and stick to it where you can. And then share limited amount of space with your partner. So I've got a little 2 up or 2 down with my husband, and you can probably hear me chatting now while he's watching the TV. So it's important to set rules, and establish boundaries together, to say, I'm going to be busy at this time. So can you like not disturb me? Though he is very lovely and brings me cups of teas, so I'm very, very lucky. Support each other in that situation. And then number 4, it can be tempting to head to the sofa. It really can, and especially when there's a new TV series on Netflix. But staying at your workstation or your area gives you that more focus and helps divide us from our living space as well. Remember to take your normal breaks. So don't do what I do, or I know a few of us do, where we're like, right, I'm on top of this, like I'll just eat while I work, because you feel like you're at home. Get up, move about, take a short walk. Lee's forever telling me to go and put a wash on between, your little walks, or just do something that isn't work related. And then loneliness and being disconnected and isolating yourself at the common now, especially with being remote. Try and make an effort to contact your colleagues, whether it's through Teams. If you aren't really finding a connection with your work colleagues, that can be difficult, but there is a lot of activities you can do in the wider trust, which I will find and pass on to you, Lee, so that we can send it around. Try and find a connection with other people. Drink water. Staying hydrated makes a massive difference to our mental health. Yes, and how our bodies work. It is. Please try it every morning. If you don't do it already, get up, and the first thing you do is drink water. Your body will love you forever. So just do that. Take some extra water in, especially when we've got the heating on as well, and it's getting colder. We need more if and then sitting all day, it isn't healthy, and it actually shrinks us. So if you can stand up often, try and take a walk to the shop if you live near a shop. Get those steps in. And do some stretches in your chair. There isn't an awful lot of stuff on our your space that can help you with those neck stretches and back stretches. And so just try and give your body that movement it needs when we're sat down all day.
Rebecca mentioned a few things in that I'm just going to touch on. So essentially, focusing on your winter well-being when you work from home is essentially trying to break the barriers. It's trying to predict the future, essentially, of the barriers that you may foresee. So, for example, losing track of time, and set yourself a schedule. So I'll give you a big example. My base is over in Liverpool, but I live up in Blackburn, so I work from home a lot during the week, and I'm in the office the opposite side of the week. And in my office, it's just a spare bedroom. When I finish at 5 o'clock, I shut that door then, and I don't go in that until the morning after, because I'm trying to separate my living from working. And I mentioned to Rebecca when she first started in the trust, are you living at work, or are you working from home? And working from home is great. Hewlett is just great anyway, but some people might not like that. They much prefer to be in the office, but you can still utilize a lot of these aspects within the office as well. So when you work from home, you lose that connectivity point of view. You miss them water cooler chats. Did you watch Corrie last night? Or this series has started. What about this? What about that type of thing? You miss that basic interaction of people. So even if you are working from home or you're working in the office, you can do a lot of these. Remembering to take your normal break, whether that's just standing up, going to the work kitchen, nipping to the toilet, and that you're combining 0.5 and 0.8 together then, because you're stretching, you're getting out of this hunch situation where you're consistently sat at your desk. And a lot of this stuff you can do, again, like Rebecca said, your morning routine. My morning routine is going downstairs, having some water, taking my daily pills, coming back upstairs and making my bed. And then that way I've got a bit of clarity. I've got to actually walk up, I'm not in the bedroom type of thing. But set yourself a daily goal. And as people, we tend to hate Mondays because Mondays can be laborious. However, if you set yourself goals and challenges for the week and try to aim for them, by Friday I want to have completed this, and this, you set a clear mindset for yourself, and that's essentially breaking down the barriers within your own work at the same time. A big factor we talk about is loneliness and disconnect. Working from home can be lonely, so it might be good just to have the radio on low or Alexa playing in a different room. Again, if you're in a shared space with someone, it could be quite harder. But it's also about having that connectivity aspect with the people in your house or people at work. And what we did when we first started within the hub, at the end of the day, we had a non-mandatory office chit chat. We set it up via Teams, and it was just 10 minutes before the end of the day, just to kind of wind down, talk about pizzas. I remember we had a conversation about door stretching. It was really random, but it was nice just to have that little bit of a breather. And if you can have the opportunity, or do have the opportunity within your team to do this sort of stuff, it's really good to start implementing. Or instead of having meetings that start on the hour and finish on the hour, start 5 minutes later and finish 5 minutes earlier. So that way you're allowing staff members who, say, working from home type thing, to go to the toilet to get a brew, or just to actually get prepped for the next meeting type of thing. Because otherwise we start to create burnout traits. So that's all about...
Sorry, can I just say, we got a couple of comments, and so we got one from Judy saying the separate rooms from your work office and your normal home is really important, and it is. And then there's Katie, who knows somebody who puts the coat on, walks to work around the block, and then goes back through the front door to the office in a way to separate it. That's such a good like mental and physical way to do it. I like that idea.
It's really good, that, because, and it's also, I saw this online when people was in lockdown. They got the kids ready, school uniforms on, they'd walk around the block, then they'd start school type it. And that's a really, really good thing. And what Katie's just said there, putting your coat on, just go for a little walk, getting some steps in, getting some fresh air, and you're ready to start work. And that's your mindset. And it's that shift in the way you do stuff as well. So all of that's all about focusing on your winter well-being. Now, there are different factors with winter well-being, but it's also aspects of keeping well. So how do you keep well? Now, this section is a bit skewed, but it will make more sense when it's all together when you get the document, because it's really interactive. So what we've done in this section is we've put a map of Cheshire and Merseyside, and we've broken it down into boroughs because every borough has a different offers. Now, this map is actually clickable and it will take you to different offers. But one of the facts is that we know over the last few years, things have changed, things have become more expensive, and the cost of living is actually going up continuously. So organisations have come together to become a warm space. Now, within the interactive document, if you click the bubble, it will take you direct to find your nearest warm space. And these could be places like church halls, community centres, where they offer a free connectivity aspect. And part of keeping well is actually connecting with other people, keeping yourself warm, essentially. We talked about this in our cost of living workshop the other day, that the energy price guarantee has gone down, but don't think your bills are going to get cheaper, because as we come into more winter months, it's going to get more expensive. So if you are thinking about going out with the kids, for example, and keeping it on the cheap side, there are lots of different warm spaces that offer free activities. And as well, you get that kids aspect sorted, but you also get that connectivity aspect with other people as well. So that's just one aspect. But then it's one aspect, for example, is if you feel you're not at your best, there are services and support available. So it's recently announced that our funding has been withdrawn and our service will shut next year. But there are aspects where you can get support. And again, it links into keeping well because you're connecting with other people and you're talking about issues that are building up. And you can do this through NHS talking therapies. It's what was known as IAPT, improving access to psychological therapies, but it's NHS talking therapy, and you can get a referral through your GP or you can refer it online as well. Again, the presentation itself doesn't actually reflect the bubble because it will take you directly there. But again, that's all part of keeping well this winter. Other factors that we can talk about is if you're trying to find information, for example, on specific things, there are lots of different things. So, for example, mental health support or disability support. There's a platform called the Hub of Hope, which is essentially, it goes off your postcode and it's a filter basis. So you put your postcode details in and you say you want support around housing benefits or keeping warm or food banks, for example. The Hub of Hope can find all that information and bring it just directly to you on one web page. And we've linked this because it's really important that you keep well, but you keep looking after yourself at the same time. Another aspect of keeping well doesn't just mean you're looking after your physical health, it's all about your mental health too. Again, Rebecca's touched on this earlier on, but we do have non-clinical workshops that we run, and one of them is about making friends as adults. As we become adults, we become more set in our way, we have routine, we've got this, we've got that. We might have lost touch with our friendship groups, or you might be wanting to start friends with other people. Lots of different aspects here. So this presentation, we've linked it, you can get the information straight away, and it's really, really informative. Again, that presentation is really interactive. You click the logo, it will take you direct to the webpage. So we've done all the work for you. And then we've got some other aspects here. If, for example, you are eligible for winter vaccines, now's the time to start getting them to be active for the winter. So a lot of healthcare and social care organisations offer vaccine boosters and also the flu jab as well. You can get this if you're eligible via your local GP as well, or as your local pharmacy. And then I've just put some aspects here about trying to find services. So if you know something that you need but don't know where to go, we've put this on a service finder because the NHS is like trying to find a needle in a haystack sometimes. And there are specific service finders out there. So it could be a GP, dentist, anything to do with, say, primary care, you can find specific stuff as well. And the final point, what we've put there, local authorities have what's known as a Live Well database, and the map on the previous slide links you to this. Essentially, these Live Well databases, you can find any specific thing, whether you need housing stuff to do with your house, or you need changes made to your house, for example, or you need mental health support. So these are more local tailored, but we also have a big community directory from local partners that we've worked with previously that will attach as well, and that's really, really informative because it's broken down into different aspects, from housing support to domestic violence support type of thing, and all the links, all the numbers are there readily available. So now we're talking about staying well this winter. And again, I'm going to pass you over to Rebecca, but I've just touched on this about the cost of living. So Bex, over to you.
Yeah, I think like we've mentioned before, the cost of living is really difficult at the moment, and I'm terrible for and extremely lucky to just be able to go out and just put things in my basket, but people around me, I hear them saying that much for that many sausages and stuff like that. The prices are ramping up, and even with things like you wouldn't think. Going on to my friend sent me a screenshot the other day of something on the Disney shop that would have cost £20 last year, but it's 35 now, and this all does start building up on us as well in the winter, because we've got Christmas and the Christmas holidays and things like that. So and Lee mentioned the energy costs. So if you don't have enough money to live on, or you are struggling, there is a lot of ways that we can support you. A lot of ways out there that can be supportive. So we do have Judy, who I'll touch on in another slide or two, but please let us know, because Judy is just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
no, go
go on,
ahead.
Rebecca.
No,
I
go
was just
ahead.
going to say there's lots of different variations of support available, and it all links into staying well this winter. So we mentioned about the energy costs, energy price rises, and not to take it for guarantee, because as we come into winter, we'll be using more energy type of thing. There's things like the Household Support Fund, which local authorities have available, and this is a fund where you can get help and support if you're falling into hardship because of the cost of living. But I was just doing a bit of research before this presentation, and the warm homes discounts. If you're on low income, or if you're on top-up benefits like universal credit, on the 16th of this month, which is a few days' time, the application system's open for warm home discounts, and you could get up to £200 on discounts for heating your home for the winter. It's not money direct to you, it goes to your energy provider, but just an opportunity just to think of there.
Yeah, that's really useful, especially because of course it is getting much colder now. This morning was a lot colder, but yeah, and at the bottom there it says check what you are eligible to claim benefits for. So there's things that you can, if you wear a uniform for work, you can actually claim money back for that. So there is ways that you can find those little extra pounds. It's a bit of an effort to do so, but if it's going to help your mental, emotional, physical and social health, then why not? But Lee is our wonderful guru at how to save. He's known in the hub.
I am the yellow sticker hoarder. If you came to my house for tea, you would have yellow sticker food, like meats in the freezer, that sort of stuff, because I was trying to explain to the team, when you grow up poor, you become in that mindset of having to live like that at the same time. Even though you might have a well-earning job, it's that mindset of not spending money so freely, if you would. And Rebecca's just touched there, all of this, we're talking about this because it's all about staying well this winter. So it's all about, for you, your social, emotional, physical aspects, as well as your mental aspects at the same time. And there's lots of variations of support available, and this is just some of the stuff what we've found. Do you want to do this, Bex, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, happy to. So it carries on from what we were saying, and we've kind of covered it already throughout the rest of the presentation. So it's just saying, if you're struggling, speak to your energy bill company. There is ways that they can help. Lee spoke about that previously, and food bank support. So I've actually volunteered in a food bank, the Trust Food Bank, and you know, I can say from being on the other side, it's understandable why people are uncomfortable walking in there, but there is no judgment. If anything, they're there because they really do want to help. Um,
Yeah,
so when you do go there, just keep in mind as well that there's people there who can help signpost, just like we've got Judy. They can help signpost. They also look at your dietary requirements as well, so that's really good. And they look at the facilities that you do have. Um, so when you do go there, it's stated there. There's no shame in reaching out, even though of course it feels like it, but they're there because they want to support you. So to keep in mind that it won't be forever, because
yeah,
hopefully cost of living will come down. But again, the cost of living presentation's been linked there, so you'll be
yeah.
able to see that.
And Rebecca just touched there about no shame. There absolutely isn't. Sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do to survive, and it's kind of that fight or flight mode. How are you keeping yourself safe? And everything all interlinks into one. So if you are struggling with energy, there are energy support funds available, which can help eradicate and take debt down. There is lots of different support, and again, I've linked the cost of living presentation there because it's really, really informative as well. Um, and then Rebecca mentioned about Judy. Now, this is Judy, and she's on the call as well. Judy is like the human form of the Citizens Advice Bureau. We're really lucky in the hub to have Judy as part of our team, because not many hubs up and down the country have a Judy. So Judy's like the human form of the CAB, and if there's something that Judy doesn't know, it's not worth knowing type of thing. So if you're struggling with anything to do with housing, debt, finance, social engagement, domestic abuse or domestic violence, lots of non-clinical interventions we can help with. We link with third sector partners and organisations, and what we do here is work on a social prescribing model, where essentially we'll find all the information from you instead of you passing you from pillar to post to do this, to get that, to do that. Everything's done in one place. So you can book a free one-to-one confidential with Judy, and we will help with anything that we can. And then just as we come to the end of the presentation, we did mention our services shutting down. We're not going anywhere anytime soon, and behind the scenes we are working to the bone and getting you the support that's going to be available, and we're trying to create a bit of a lasting legacy. So we have lots of local providers who we can help or pass you to get the right information, but I've just put here some national partners, from Samaritans right through to Papyrus, right through to Age UK. All these services are here to help and support you no matter what. If you are struggling, no matter what, this winter, now, tomorrow, next week, or even January, for example, do reach out. There is help and support available to you. So on that note, I'll bring the presentation to a close.